Buhari promises free, fair, credible elections next year. Nigerian governors say they are not elected only to pay salaries. Tribute pouring for deceased Queen of Seoul. In international news, Vatican condemns reported sex abuse by Pennsylvania priests. And in sports, Ghana accepts FIFA's directives, avoid sanctions. Nigeria's DeLong insists on rule of law.
This is ANN News.
I am Rotimi Akintunde. As Nigerians prepare for next year's elections, President Muhammadu Buhari says he would not interfere with the Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC) before, during, or after 2019 elections. He promised to ensure that next year's polls will be free, fair, and credible.
Contrary to the tragic incident that characterized the 2011 general elections in Nigeria, which necessitated preliminary investigation by the International Criminal Court, I assure you that all hands are on deck to prevent any recurrence of such tragic incidents. We shall do everything possible to ensure that Nigeria witnesses the conduct of free, fair, and feasible elections in 2019.
Special Advisor to the President on Political Matters, Senator Babafemi Ojodu, expressed Buhari's position at the 2018 Annual Nigeria Political Parties Summit in Abuja on Thursday. Meanwhile, the National Assembly Joint Committee on the Independent National Electoral Commission has re-invited INEC Chairman Mahmood Yakubu to appear before it to further clarify discrepancies noticed in its 2019 election budget. This is as a result of the inability of members of the Joint Committee from the Senate and the House of Representatives to reconcile disparities between the 189 billion naira budget submitted by the electoral body and the 143 billion naira contained in the President's letter to the National Assembly on the same subject. Talking about the aftermath of defections, the Federal Capital Territory High Court has restrained Senate President Bukola Saraki from declaring vacant the seat of former Senate Minority Leader Godswill Akpabio. Justice Othman Musa also ordered Saraki not to impede Senator Akpabio's access to the building or take any action aimed at overreaching his privileges and rights as a senator, pending the determination of the originating summons of the applicant. The orders were made after an application by Akpabio's lawyers to stop Musa to declare his seat vacant following his defection. The suit has been adjourned till late August. Disturbed by the invasion of the National Assembly complex by DSS officers last week, senators have concluded plans to demand judicial probe. Chairman Senate Committee on Navy, Senator Issa Hamad Misol, and Chairman Senate Committee on Banking, Insurance and Other Financial Institutions, Senator Rafiu Ibrahim, said in a joint statement that an open inquiry would enable Nigerians to know what led to the siege and those behind the plot to illegally take over the National Assembly. In a way to tackle insecurity in Nigeria, the National Economic Council, presided over by the acting president, Yemi Osinbajo, commenced on Thursday the process that could eventually lead to the decentralization of the operations of the Nigeria Police Force. National Security Advisor Babagana Monguno said the council would set up a committee to achieve its goal. He said Inspector General of Police Ibrahim Idris would head the committee that would have as members representatives from the 6 geopolitical zones of the country. Meanwhile, Monguno has said the nation's security challenges cannot be completely tackled within a short period.
I emphasized to the council the need for the states to collaborate with and support the federal government in dealing with each individual threat. And these threats differ from one zone to another. And find a way of linking with security agencies so that we can find a lasting solution.
Still on security, the federal government has insisted that it did not pay any ransom to secure the release of the Dapchi girls, refuting a United Nations report that claimed that it paid a huge ransom to Boko Haram. Information and Culture Minister Lai Mohammed, in a statement issued in Kwara State, challenged anyone with evidence of such payments to provide it. Nigerian workers may find this interesting. Some state governors have said that they are not elected to only pay salaries of civil servants, arguing that they were also elected to provide good roads, electricity, education and all the necessary amenities for the people. Chairman of the Nigerian Governors Forum, Zamfara State's Abdulaziz Yari, said it was a pity that state governors had been limited to the payment of salaries alone in their respective states. He said lack of funds hindered them from providing necessary amenities. Meanwhile, the Nigerian Labour Congress is proposing a minimum wage of 65,000 naira for workers, but the governors are insisting on the gradual implementation of the new wage if eventually approved. In business news, the Central Bank of Nigeria (CBN) will be refunding cash reserve ratio (CRR) to banks that fund projects in agriculture and manufacturing sectors. Director of Banking Supervision Abdullahi Ahmad said at a Bankers Committee meeting on Thursday that the outlook for the economy this year is much better than last year, adding that banks should be able to lend to companies involved in new capital expenditures and expansions to factories using some of their cash reserve ratio (CRR) at 9%. He said the idea is to have job-creating activities in the economy and also to bring interest rate down. The CRR is a portion of banks' deposits kept with the central bank. The federal government has announced on Thursday it would start commercializing all proven scientific inventions and research for the benefit of Nigerians. Science and Technology Minister Ogbonnaya Onu said the government is initiating a strategic alliance between organized private sector and academia to ensure all research and development activities will be industry demand driven.
The format that is being done now is the first of its kind in our country, is to bring in all inventors, all innovators, and then investors to bring them together. Because we are committed to making sure that all deserving research findings are commercialized.
Premium Times journalist Samuel Oguntepe has been released on bail on Friday. He has been in custody since Tuesday. The police had accused him of failing to disclose the source of his report on the investigation of the DSS National Assembly invasion 2 weeks ago. When he refused to disclose his source, he was further accused of theft, criminal trespass and violating sections of the Penal Code. Lawyers, the International Press Center, the Nigerian Union of Journalists, a group with the hashtag Mumudondu and others demanded the journalist's immediate release. He was freed on bail on Friday. The Queen of Soul in the musical world is being eulogized today as someone who has left an unfillable void in the music industry. Aretha Franklin died on Thursday after a battle with pancreatic cancer. She has been honored by peers across multiple generations and musical genres as a legend. Her musical career started in her pastor father's church in Detroit, Michigan at an early age. She grew up to shake the music world with super hits like Respect and Chain of Fools. She racked up 18 Grammys and 20 gold records in her illustrious music career. Detroit Mayor Mark Duggan, former U.S. President Barack Obama, and current President Donald Trump have paid homage to Aretha Franklin, who died at 76.
In 2017, Franklin...
Coming up, African stories. And later, Vatican condemns sex abuse of children by American priests.
You are watching ANN.
MTN. gives 2,000% bonus for reactivating your MTN SIM. That's right. If you haven't used your MTN SIM for 45 days or more, recharge now and get 2,000% bonus. That's right, 2,000% bonus for your first recharge of every month.
Welcome back. This is ANN News. Now some African news. Official results showed on Thursday President Ibrahim Boubacar Keïta was re-elected in Mali's Sunday runoff. Opposition challenger Soumaïla Cisse rejected the outcome and vowed to appeal to the Constitutional Court. Now, UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres spoke with both leaders, urging them not to go backwards following contentious elections and the strife-turned West African country. Guterres said his envoy for Mali was ready to mediate in the election dispute. 3 Uganda lawmakers, critics of President Yoweri Museveni, have been charged with treason for their suspected role in the stoning of his convoy. Museveni had traveled late on Monday to campaign for a ruling party candidate contesting in a parliamentary by-election when the vehicle carrying him had its rear windscreen smashed. Museveni said on Wednesday he was unharmed. In total, 5 MPs were arrested in the moments following the attack. Chadian government said on Thursday it would assert control over part of the country's far north, which has been troubled by a gold rush and a rebel incursion from neighboring Libya. Chad's armed forces have been ordered to expel all illegal gold diggers from the Tibesti region. Security Minister Ahmad Bachir said defense forces were given orders to destroy all large machines, water containers, and to burn all gold miners' stores and other equipment in land and air operations. He said troops have also been told to arrest anyone wandering around in the area. The discovery of gold in the region has triggered an influx of illegal miners from other parts of the country, often leading to violent incidents with local people. Tanzanian police said on Thursday it planned to arrest all the residents of a village in the country's south after water pipes were destroyed by a mob. The inhabitants of Ngolo village were accused of deliberately smashing pipes, taking water to a neighboring settlement in Mbeya region. Governor Albert Chalamila has ordered that all the inhabitants of the village be arrested. The police has deployed several vehicles and officers on Thursday to carry out the order. Regional Commander Ulrich Mate said the villagers have committed economic sabotage by destroying the water pipes. Details about the incident remain sketchy, but the village, with a population of around 1,600, lies in an area where water resources are scarce. Niger warned on Thursday it would prevent excessive use of wood for roasting sheep for an upcoming Muslim festival, declaring it would imperil the Sahel country's fragile forest. The warning comes in the run-up to Eid al-Adha, also called Eid al-Kabir. Environment Chief for the capital region, Colonel Umaru Alu, said on this one day, close to 400,000 sheep will be sacrificed in Niamey and 48,000 tons of wood to roast them. He suggested coal rather than wood to roast their festival sheep. The colonel said patrols will carry out checks on the quantities of wood entering Niamey. Trucks, donkeys and camels entering the city will be checked for what he called fraudulent loads. If Ebola is coming, the city of Goma in eastern Congo wants to be ready. Although no cases have been confirmed there, the government has put in place a mobile blood testing lab, hand washing stations on street corners, and forbidding motorcycle taxi drivers from sharing spare helmets. Earlier this week, we reported the virus was spreading from North Kivu across Ituri province, the lush farmlands of eastern Congo, where ethnic and military conflict threaten to hobble containment efforts. Meanwhile, World Health Organization WHO says it has identified 1,500 persons who are potentially coming into contact with Ebola patients in the east of the Democratic Republic of Congo, but says its staff cannot reach some areas because of the conflict. WHO says there are potentially more cases in those inaccessible areas and that 44 persons have died during the current outbreak. Earlier this week, the charity Doctors Without Borders (MSF) opened an Ebola treatment center in Margina, the small town which is the epicenter of the outbreak. MSF says ongoing violence and displacement of civilians in the area are having a significant impact on humanitarian response. Ethiopian authorities say heavy rains causing floods and mudslides have so far killed 51 persons this rainy season. 8 Ethiopians have died in a mudslide on Thursday in Amara State in the north of the country, including 6 persons from one family. State News report houses and crops were swept away as well. Rain started very early this year in May, particularly in central Ethiopia. Usually the season begins in June. Rains are expected to continue until mid-September. Coming up next, international stories, and later, Ghana avoids FIFA sanctions, Nigeria insists on rule of law.
You are watching ANN.
Are you sure you want to do this?
Adam, go and bring us your husband. Okay, hello baby. We're in this together, okay? Can you hear me? Keep coming forward. Wait, stop. You okay, lean to your right. Keep walking down, keep walking to the left. Yes, you're almost here. Keep going. You are here. Wow, you did it.
I'm just so glad I didn't have to use my cane to do this.
And I am so glad no other man got you before me. Let me be your eyes.
We will never stop working to give you a network you can rely on so you can enjoy life's special moments. MTN, everywhere you go.
Welcome back. This is ANN News. We go to some international stories. The Vatican has expressed shame over a scathing Pennsylvania grand jury report on Catholic clergy who raped and molested children in 6 dioceses in that state. The Vatican calls it criminally and morally reprehensible. The grand jury report went public this week and accused Cardinal Donald Wuerl of helping to protect some molester priest while he was Bishop of Pittsburgh. Wuerl has defended his actions and also apologized for the damage inflicted on victims. The report was full of vivid examples of horrendous abuse. Pope Francis has vowed to end this pervasive mindset among church hierarchy. A German passenger jet with 250 on board was forced to make an emergency landing on the Greek island of Crete on Thursday after a bomb scare. The Boeing 753 aircraft owned by German carrier Condor was said to have taken off from Egypt and was on its way to the German city of Düsseldorf. The pilot asked the control tower at Chania Airport after receiving information that suggested there were explosives on board. In 2016, an Egypt air flight from Paris to Cairo crashed into the Mediterranean off the coast of Crete. All 66 people on board perished. There is a new Pentagon report that China is actively developing its fleet of bombers and likely training its pilots for missions targeting the U.S. Over the last 3 years, the People's Liberation Army has rapidly expanded its overwater bomber operating areas, gaining experience in critical maritime regions and likely training for strikes against U.S. and its allies. This year's report also claims the Chinese Air Force has been reassigned a nuclear mission in a show of expanding reach of Beijing's power. The Chinese military landed nuclear-capable H-6K bombers on one of their artificial islands in the South China Sea for the first time in May. Pakistan's foreign ministry has confirmed the suspension of a U.S. military training program for Pakistani soldiers. This is the latest program to be hurt by the cutoff of security aid to Pakistan announced at the beginning of this year. The U.S. often accuses Pakistan of harboring militant groups and providing safe places for insurgents who carry out attacks on Afghanistan. Pakistani has also reminded the U.S. that it has lost thousands of soldiers in Afghanistan fighting militants on its territory. Israeli police are questioning Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu over allegations bordering on corruption involving Israel's telecom giant Bezeq. Two closest allies of the Prime Minister have been arrested on suspicion of promoting regulations worth hundreds of millions of dollars to the telecom giant. The confidants have turned state witnesses. Netanyahu has denied any wrongdoing and has called the accusations a media witch hunt. Coming next. Sports. Ghana accepts FIFA's directives, Lalong still at odds.
You are watching ANN.
If you know fit go internet or follow for Twitter, you know fit snap photo send or get it photo send. Now because you dey use Palasa, your phone no dey answer. See me see wahala. My brother, go get smartphone, yeah. Drop that Palasa phone. Phone wey no go for your hand, yeah. Drop that Palasa phone. Phone wey no fit take selfie. Drop that Palasa phone. No be correct phone, yeah. Drop that Palasa phone.
Upgrade to a smartphone today and get double data for 6 months on any MTN data bundle you buy. Simply purchase a smartphone from any store, anywhere in Nigeria, or bring your current smartphone from any network. Insert your MTN SIM card to start enjoying your double data bonus. Offer is open to all new and existing MTN subscribers. Join the largest smartphone movement today.
Make it not for your hand.
Welcome back. This is ANN News. In sports, Ghana has accepted FIFA's directives to stop the winding up of its football association as directed by the world's football governing body. But Nigeria's sports minister Solomon Dalung has insisted his country must follow the rule of law. FIFA threatened to ban Ghana and Nigeria from international football unless both governments stopped interfering in the administration of the game in their countries. FIFA said both sides will set up what they called a task force to create disciplinary governance and auditing mechanisms. By yielding to FIFA directives, Ghana has dodged a FIFA ban, but Nigeria's fate hangs in the balance. France has climbed to the summit of the FIFA World Ranking in the first edition of the Global Ladder since a new formula took effect and France's team, Les Bleus, became world champions. Les Bleus were last at the World Football Summit 16 years ago. Nigeria failed to qualify for the second stage of the World Cup in Russia and dropped a step from 48 to 49. That is ANN News this evening. Thank you for joining us. For details on these and other stories, visit our website, annafrica.net. Conversation continues on our social media platforms, Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at ANN Africa TV. I am Rotimi Akintunde. Have a great weekend.